Welcome to Sustaining Australia TV, the program covering the issues and promoting discussion around the key topics of importance to your industry. Sustaining Australia TV is an innovative online news-style program proudly brought to you by the Australian Food and Grocery Council. Food and grocery is a $127 billion industry and it affects the lives of every Australian. In this episode, we look at the vital issues of sustainability and environmental challenges. We showcase the commitment of major food producers as they tackle these challenges from farm through production to delivery to their customers. And we hear the thoughts of the politicians and business leaders who are shaping this country's future and the leadership role the food and grocery industry will play in it. Coming up, we hear from Australian Food and Grocery Council Chief Executive Officer Tanya Barden on the need to listen and to act.
We need to be able to listen to stakeholders, listen to our critics and make sure that we're responding to what these sorts of changes are needed.
We visit major food producers and retailers to see the steps they're taking along the supply chain. And industry leaders share their thoughts on environmental challenges and how to approach them.
Partnering with an ecosystem of experts from government, from industry, from NGOs, academia, to help you find solutions that allow you to do it in a way that doesn't cost the earth.
The sustainability of our food and grocery industry is linked to the health of our planet. For Tanya Barden, the CEO of the Australian Food and Grocery Council, committing to change in all areas of the supply chain is the right thing to do for our community and our industry.
The food and grocery manufacturing industry is really committed to sustainability for a couple of reasons. One is that consumers and governments increasingly expect it, and we're responding to that changing in demand. But importantly, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for our people, it's the right thing for our planet. So there's a whole range of different areas of sustainability that the industry is focused on. There's also things like reducing waste more broadly beyond packaging, so food waste is a big issue as well, and also ethical sourcing, making sure that things like palm oil and tuna and a whole range of different inputs into the supply chain are sustainably and ethically sourced. The big focus for governments at the moment on sustainability for our industry is around recycling and circular economy. So we have seen federally and at state level a lot of policies and some regulation around that space. We're working really collaboratively with both state and federal governments on achieving the sustainability goals that they've set. In particular, we've got targets around packaging. So for packaging to be more recyclable, reusable and compostable, we have targets around the recycled content that are in packaging and also around labelling to make it easier for consumers to know what to do with their packaging at the end of life. But also the consumers looking beyond that and critics are looking at how do we actually make sure that the whole product is sustainable, not just the packaging. So making sure that the ingredients are ethically sourced and that there isn't harm caused to people as well as the environment. So sometimes industry is criticised on these things, but there is a lot that is underway and industry is playing a really important part in solving some of these challenges. We need to be able to work with retail partners to make sure that pricing of product, accurately reflects some of the cost pressures coming through supply chains. We need to work with governments and others around how do we get the right policy settings for the industry. And then some of the challenges around health and nutrition and sustainability that are driving rapid changes in the industry. We need to be able to listen to stakeholders, listen to our critics and make sure that we're responding to what these sorts of changes are needed.
Asahi Beverages is a leading manufacturer in Australia, marketing quality alcoholic and non-alcoholic products. It's taken an ambitious approach to its sustainability strategy across climate change, water use, packaging and renewable electricity. As Stephen Claney discovered, that has led to the construction of the biggest recycling plant of its kind in the country.
Asahi Beverages takes sustainability seriously and is acting across all areas of its business.
Asahi Beverages is the leading beverage manufacturer in Australia, and as a result we take a leadership role on sustainability, and it's something we take quite seriously.
Asahi Beverages has an ambitious sustainability agenda that is already delivering meaningful change for suppliers, customers and consumers across Australia and New Zealand. Just outside Albury on the New South Wales-Victorian border, Asahi Beverages and its joint venture partners, leading waste management company Cleanaway and packaging giant Pact, are building a huge plant to recycle polyethylene tetraphyte, or PET, which is the plastic used for drink bottles. Construction started in February and will be completed before the end of the year. The facility will be the biggest recycling plant of its kind in the country.
We're not aware of any other beverage company in the Australian market building a recycled PET facility before. So as the market leader, we're doing things differently and quite proud of doing things differently.
Cleanaway is one of the recycling facility's joint venture partners. Its partnership with Asahi is incredibly important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Cleanaway can collect this material, but we need an end market for it. And without someone like Asahi taking that product and reusing it again, there's no point.
A circular economy is crucial to creating sustainable supply chains and protecting our planet long term.
You picture it. You take a bottle of Coolridge water, drink it, dispose of it through a container deposit scheme or through your household recycling bin. Cleanaway will then come and collect that, take it up to Albury, to the joint venture plant there. We'll make another new bottle out of it, deliver that back to Asahi, who will refill it with Coolridge water, and that'll go through the process again. It doesn't get more circular than that.
For Asahi Beverages, it's about walking the walk, taking action. That's obvious when you consider that a beer such as VB is already 100% brewed using offset solar power.
In 2018, we signed a 12-year-long power purchase agreement with Caradoc Solar Farm. How this really helps us progress to these climate change goals is that it enables us to put more renewable electricity back into the grid.
Kirsten Sturziker is Head of Sustainability.
Recently at Asahi Beverages, we have just renewed our sustainability strategy, which takes into account what's important across our consumers, customers and employees.
Kirsten says the strategy identified goals around climate change, water use, sustainable packaging and renewable electricity.
As a company, we're committed to sourcing 100% of our electricity from renewable sources by 2025.
The company has moved quickly. An electric truck is being launched in partnership with Linfox, the first of a fleet powered by solar from the huge Caradoc plant in northern Victoria.
It's a really momentous occasion, as in this will be our first electric truck delivering our beers, such as Victoria Bitter, on the streets of Melbourne.
Asahi has also recently overhauled its supply chain and started buying its barley direct from its farmers. The direct purchase program allows Asahi to track water use, soil quality and other agricultural inputs to ensure only the highest quality barley is used and grown sustainably.
By not having the middleman in this, we've been able to have further transparency and traceability to the provenance of our barley, going into beers such as Victoria Bitter and Carlton Draft.
CEO Robert Iabasi is passionate about taking meaningful action to deliver long-lasting benefits for suppliers, customers and consumers, and for the environment as a whole.
So for us, it's bringing all those stakeholders together and having a passion to drive sustainability going forward.
The circular economy around packaging was also on the minds of keynote speakers at the Australian Food and Grocery Conference in Sydney. We joined industry leaders as they discussed the need for continued collaboration.
The biggest goal at the end of all of these schemes is to say, how do we create a circular economy? How do we make less use of virgin materials and put as much recycled content as we can into all packaging? So from the potential of plastics, with the advances we're seeing in technology, particularly with things like chemical recycling, you can take a soft plastics packet today, turn it back into its original form in terms of oils, convert that back to resins and then bring it back into packaging.
Collaboration is vitally important. No single company really can tackle this issue on their own. And it's not only collaboration across the value chain, so suppliers working with their customers, back up and down the value chain. It's also, there's a really important role for the government in this and for good regulation.
Nothing in life and in business happens without collaboration. The issues that we face are so big and so complex that not one company has all the answers.
Soft plastics are a valuable resource. I mean, they're important for freshness, they're important for quality, they're important for creating the right convenience. They're actually really important in the supply chain. The challenge we've got with soft plastics is essentially that not enough of it's getting recycled. That's our collective mission.
So we have to be very diligent around land use, around waste to landfill. We need to be so diligent around how we use our energy, what type of energy, water usage, minimize that so that it's more efficient. So it's intuitive to the food industry and should be, and absolutely critical for us to do what's right today, but also to set ourselves up for future generations.
Danone Australia and New Zealand believes that tackling climate change is the key challenge of our time and has become an industry leader in reducing CO2 emissions, recycling packaging and responsible agriculture. Danone is introducing an emerging technology to displace the use of coal and gas in its dairy production as it pushes towards being carbon neutral.
Perched on the fertile rolling hills of South Otago, there's a dairy processor with a difference. Danone Australia and New Zealand is leading the way in carbon reduction initiatives. This biomass boiler is a $30 million addition that will slash the plant's carbon emissions and contribute to reducing overall emissions across Danone's ANZ operations.
In Danone's manifesto of One Planet, One Health, this is one key ambition, locally speaking, for the site here in Balclutha, to ensure that we are caring for our environment.
The key ingredient in dairy spray drying, turning milk to milk powder, is steam. Water in these pipes is heated, which pumps up the temperature in the massive towers where milk is sprayed from the top to fall and dehydrate into powder at the bottom. Using coal or LPG to heat the water is the current industry standard, but Danone's biomass boiler sets a new benchmark. And the biofuel is wood residue, wood from local sustainable forestry that would usually sit and rot on forest floors. It's a sustainable system that illustrates how Danone is striving to be the best they can be in manufacturing, recyclability and regenerative agriculture practices.
These three are very complex. They require a lot of knowledge and resources, but luckily for Danone, we do have a lot of IP internally within our global team that we can tap into to really power that transformation on Carry Care.
Danone's Carry Care infant formula is leading the way. By next year, Carry Care Gold Plus organic powder will be carbon neutral, with the rest of the line on track for the same by 2030.
At Carry Care, we believe that we can't produce healthy food if we don't have a healthy planet, so we are fully committed to preserving natural resources.
When it comes online later this year, the 15 megawatt biomass boiler will reduce the plant's carbon emissions by 20,000 tonnes a year, the equivalent of 4,500 cars being taken off the road. Combined with a switch to 100% renewable energy, the plant's carbon emissions will reduce by 95%. Other initiatives at the manufacturing end, like a new water filtration system, will cut this plant's water requirements by 30%. The end goal is carbon neutrality, and it's a goal the entire company, from the factory floor to the corporate office, are focused on.
Having this carbon neutrality and sustainability roadmap as the core of what we do, it excites employees, engages them, and make them really, really proud of working for Danone and to contribute to a cause that goes beyond just making products.
Is it satisfying to be working that way?
You bet, definitely. I say that not because I work for just solely on Danone's corporate manifesto, but really as a person, as a human being, living in New Zealand now, and of course being part of the world, we could see how the world is evolving with natural resources depleting, and that's the reason why we are living a fruitful cause to give back to the nature.
Positive action, Danone hopes will see positive choices being made by mums and dads.
By taking a stance on carbon neutrality, we are giving the power back to consumers to vote for the world where they want to live in with the purchasing decisions. So we see that as increasingly important.
And they're not keeping their methods a secret. Danone inviting other companies wanting a better future to join them on the journey to a more sustainable, healthier planet.
The Australian Food and Grocery Council plays a crucial role in connecting the food and grocery industry with the local, state and federal politicians who can provide support for the industry as it focuses on sustainability. We spoke with Assistant Minister for Waste Reduction and Environmental Management, Trevor Evans, about the importance of the industry and the challenges it faces.
Governments of Australia have set some really big and ambitious targets that we're all working towards. The first and foremost, of course, is the packaging targets by 2025. We want to see all of the packaging on all the shelves in Australia recyclable, reusable or compostable by 2025. Addressing plastics and packaging waste as a whole of supply chain is vitally important because fundamentally getting the very best circular economy outcomes is about the very best design right back at the start that will make all of those other options for recycling and disposal much simpler and easier for everyone. I'm working with so many amazing companies, businesses and the industry in food manufacturing to get more amazing circular economy outcomes in plastic packaging so that we get recyclable, reusable or compostable packaging around our food products to give consumers those extra options for better sustainable outcomes. A few years ago, you would have characterised Australia as relying really heavily on offshore solutions, exporting our waste to other countries. I see in a very short period of time that we're not going to be exporting our waste anymore. We're going to be exporting our know-how, our solutions, our systems to other countries around the world and really stepping up to help our friends and neighbours, especially in the Pacific, to confront some of the big challenges that they themselves have too.
Coles Supermarkets is one of Australia's largest businesses and the 12th largest user of electricity. Coles has launched a three-pronged attack in its Together to Zero sustainability strategy, targeting emissions, waste and hunger. Stephen Claney visited a store of the future in Melbourne to see how Coles partners with its suppliers, employees and customers.
Coles has three long-term ambitions as part of its Together to Zero sustainability strategy: zero emissions, zero waste and zero hunger.
So Coles has an ambition to be the most sustainable supermarket in Australia. It's a bold ambition, and we know it's a bold ambition, but we believe together with our stakeholders, we can make it.
A great example of its approach is the recent launch of its Moonee Pond store in Melbourne as a flagship sustainability-focused concept store.
It was really important when we launched our strategy to bring it to life in our stores. This is where we see our customers and our team members every single day. In this store, we use transcritical refrigeration. That's natural refrigeration, which has virtually no environmental impact whatsoever. We have doors on most of the fridges in the stores to conserve energy. We also use some of that heat that's generated by our fridges to keep the store warm and comfortable for our customers.
And there are many innovations being implemented that mark it as a store of the future.
Right, so here we've got our green alley, and this area is actually where we're able to sell all of our leafy product. We've got these misting devices here that'll help keep that product fresh during trade. Yep. And the same over here with our soft veg lines, and again you can see the misters there which are able to keep that product fresh all day long. Right. Really important here for the herb section. It means we're able to actually take that out of plastic packaging and sell that through the course of the day.
The store has also introduced refill stations as part of the pathway to reduce waste. The Together to Zero strategy is in evidence in many other areas of the store. Customers can have their fruit and veg sliced and diced right in front of them or squeezed into a freshly made juice. Part of the campaign towards zero waste through reducing food waste. Recycled cardboard boxes are provided at checkout. There's an option to use trolleys with baskets made from recycled milk bottles and plastic, and a coffee cup recycling station to divert cups from landfill. LED lighting is another visual example of progress on a commitment to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. A lot of this important change, though, is hidden from the customer. This wrap, for example, is produced in regional Victoria, and behind it is a story involving plastic reduction, plant-based nutrition, and a whole lot of solar panels. The panels provide a dramatic visual of the work suppliers are undertaking to reduce their emissions, in this case True Foods at Maryborough in central Victoria. True Foods is a family-owned business manufacturing wraps, pizza bases and other specialty flatbreads.
We're very proud of what we do, and it's fantastic to be engaged with a customer like Coles who are so passionate about driving that same message out there as well.
The company has a low emissions approach leading to thousands of solar panels on the True Foods roof and surrounding land, energy-saving freezer and cooling system upgrades, and changes to packaging.
We've all got a responsibility to manage our environmental impact, and those who take it on now are doing it for probably the right reasons. Those who defer it will do so once they're forced to. It's fantastic to see the drive that Coles has got for the environmental standards and setting a new benchmark, and therefore supporting suppliers who do manage their own environmental footprint.
Coles employs around 120,000 team members and serves millions of customers across Australia. It is the country's 12th largest electricity user. Together to Zero commits the entire Coles group to be powered by 100% renewable electricity by the end of June 2025.
We are a company that's been around for more than 100 years. We do want to succeed in our second century, but we need to do our part to operate in a sustainable way. We've been on that journey for a long time, but we've made some really bold commitments now that we believe in, and together with all our stakeholders, we think we can get there.
Industry leaders at the Australian Food and Grocery Conference were able to share their thoughts around sustainability and challenges in areas such as plastics and recycling. They also noted the important role of the Australian Food and Grocery Council as an advocate as the industry moves forward.
As an industry, across all platforms, it's important that we create products that are recyclable, right? Because there's inconsistency on consumers understanding what can I recycle, can I dispose of this here, can I dispose of that. So number one is just getting industry to come up with a portfolio of products that are recyclable. Number two is really about creating awareness and the right level of education with the consumers.
I think at the heart of making the right choices around sustainability and plastics is about doing the right thing first and foremost, partnering with an ecosystem of experts from government, from industry, from NGOs, academia, to help you find solutions that allow you to do it in a way that doesn't cost the earth, and pun intended, doesn't have an impact on the planet, but also doesn't mean that consumers have to pay a fortune for decisions to back brands that have been made sustainably.
So from a food industry point of view, sustainability, in my opinion, is not an option. It's a must-do. We have to continue to feed the world, a growing world, our world, Australia. We need to do that not only for today, but for tomorrow. The population's not going to get any smaller.
So the AFGC can leverage all the industry experience, they can bring in external expertise, and they can take a bigger picture view that helps present roadmaps for important stakeholders into how do we make it sustainable and efficient so that it can actually be done fast and effectively, but for the future.
And that's all for Sustaining Australia TV for this episode. Keep an eye out for other episodes which will look at the future of food through innovation and technology, the important role played by regional Australia and by engaging communities, and the crucial area of traceability and provenance. We hope you can join us, but from me and from the team, it's goodbye for now.